Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas and them, and your source for the latest news and notes from FIFA World Cup 2022. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me tonight, surprise, last moment hop on, Jacob Farrell. Jacob, appreciate you being here. I appreciate you doing the show last night. I was home. I just couldn't get my son to bed in time, and so appreciate you hopping on and doing that.
Not a problem.
I listened to the episode last night, and I had completely missed the news yesterday about Grant Wall, and I know you talked about it yesterday, and we really don't know much more today. But when I saw the news this morning, I was just in utter shock that happened. He's barely 10 years older than I am. Not a lot of details about what exactly happened. There've been some eyewitness accounts as to what happened at the stadium, and it's been well documented that he hadn't been feeling well in the past few weeks in Qatar. So I mean, it's a devastating loss. And you talked about last night, for the soccer community here in the US, Grant has been one of the leading voices on soccer, whether it's international soccer, the US national team, whatever the case may be. He's done some really big stories, and not just for soccer. He covered other sports as well, but for me, his soccer coverage has been one of the biggest driving factors, and where I get my information. And I wanted to mention, I actually recently bought his book. I bought it, a couple months ago, and I've been reading through it, and just fantastic writing. Masters of Modern Football, or Masters of Modern Soccer. If you haven't read it, go read it. Great work by Grant. But I mean, it's just, I think he actually had me blocked on Twitter at one point, but I didn't always necessarily agree with some of his takes on Twitter and social media and stuff. But man, that was a voice, and that will certainly be missed around the U.S. soccer community.
Yeah.
So yeah, just absolutely devastating. So appreciate you talking about that last night. I've been trying to read up on it today, and just and it really does. As disappointing as the U.S. losing the other day was, like, this is just a massive blow for U.S. soccer, and seeing Rob Stone talk about it on air and getting choked up, and just one of those things, it's one of those moments that I won't forget, because we all have those things, like people come out and announce retirements and things like that, and other things happening, but like this is just big. It just really is. And I know he didn't necessarily do a lot of coverage for like lower league soccer and stuff like what we're used to, but I think he did a piece not too long ago. I could be wrong. I think it was about Freddie Adu. It might have been. I want to say it was him, but it's just a fantastic piece about Freddie Adu and how he's trying to make a comeback, and continue his soccer career. So, just a loss. I mean, do you have anything else to add from what you said yesterday, or?
No, I echo your sentiment and what I said yesterday. It's a damper on a already kind of a gross World Cup as far as the off the pitch stuff is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what comes of it. Hopefully, I'm really hoping nothing nefarious comes out of it, and it's just he just poor timing, and he got sick, and something happened with that, and we'll move on. But it sucks for him, sucks for his family, his wife, and the soccer community as a whole. But I was shocked last night because I found out right before I hopped on. So it kind of shook me for a little bit there to start the podcast, but I think we definitely will miss him, and other than that, we push on and cover the rest of this World Cup and figure out how we can pay tribute to him through that.
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone, for those of us, us especially, we're as part of soccer media, particularly. I mean, obviously, we're local, soccer. Yeah, allegedly soccer media.
Allegedly soccer media.
Yeah, it's it's just one of those things. It's tough. Especially when it's someone that has influenced the way that the community and media and journalism has grown and expanded over the past few years. Like, yeah, it's definitely
Right.
definitely someone worth continuing to remember and try to live up to what he did.
Mhm.
Not that we'll ever match
Right.
what he does, but yeah, I mean there was still soccer day. The matches continued. The second the last two of the quarterfinal matches happened today. First one this morning, Morocco and Portugal. We talked the other night about this match, and I mean I know that you've been real big on Morocco. You've been big on Morocco, and I can't remember if you said that you had them beating Portugal here or not.
I did.
You did. Okay.
I have I thought I brought it over here. I have a bracket that I filled out as soon as the round of 16 was solidified after the group stages, and I have Morocco in the semifinals against France. My other picks, we won't talk about them, but I did have that one. And then I think on the other side, the other side was a disaster. I had like USA, Japan, I think is who I had over there.
Okay.
So yeah, a little different on that side of the bracket, but no, I have been high on this Morocco team. I thought they could get past this Portugal side, even after Portugal put up 6 goals on the Swiss. This Morocco defense isn't the Swiss defense. There's a joke to be made about the Swiss defense being full of holes, but I'm not going to make that joke, even though I kind of did. But no, this Morocco team, I mean, they came out again. They didn't have a whole lot of possession, but they made the most of their possession. In Nasir just freaking skied on this header. The one goal, Morocco, wins 1-0, and goes up and gets across. He has. So the keeper had a height advantage, and the keeper can use his hands, and somehow, Nasir's head gets above both the goalkeeper's hands, and he just heads it down and into a wide open goal, and that's all Morocco needed. They did well defensively and then countered when they could. Probably one of these times that Morocco team is going to get these breakaway chances that they have at the end of games when they're ahead and the other team's pushing, and then they get a breakaway and they can't capitalize on it. One of the times that's going to bite them in the ass. But
yeah, that hasn't materialized at all this tournament. And you watch this and you talk about the goal that was scored, and really, to me, I watched that and I say that's a complete and total misplay by the keeper.
It is. I mean, it is. He wasn't paying attention to who was running onto the ball, and he thought he could just run and it was going to be easy pickings for a cross, but the Moroccan player just beats him to the ball and gets up higher than him, and that's all she wrote. I mean, once the keeper's that far out of the net, all you got to do is get a touch to that. I mean, just barely tap it, and it's going to end up in the back of the net. And he did more than that. He powered it down on the ground and back up into the top netting. And this Morocco team, I feel like I'm sure we'll talk about the France matchup here in a little bit, but I feel like if they score first, or if they can keep a clean sheet like they did the Spain match, all the way to penalties, I mean, they're dangerous. I do believe that if a team ever gets up on them early, it could be like a 6-0 loss for Morocco, because they'll have to spread themselves out and push for a tying goal. But we haven't seen that yet this tournament. I mean, they played Croatia to a 0-0 draw. They beat the Netherlands 2-0, or Netherlands, sorry, Belgium 2-0. They were up on Canada 2-0 and then gave up an own goal. And then they didn't give up a goal against Spain, and they didn't give up a goal here. So I think if you're going to beat them, you got to get ahead early somehow, break through, and then you might be able to pull them apart. But we haven't seen that yet, and we'll see if France can do it in the semifinals.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a tall task to keep France scoreless, and it's again, we'll touch on that in here in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you look at Portugal, and this is a side that was widely favored to run away with this match. And I thought Portugal had this one. As good as Morocco has been, prior, defensively heading into this, you just kind of looked at it. It's like, okay, well, I'm not convinced that they can do that against what should be on paper a more well-established, a more defined, Portugal side. So yeah, I mean, it's just a bit of a shock, to see Morocco come out and do as well as they have, and to withstand the pressure from Portugal. And they really didn't give Portugal, very many clear opportunities today.
No, they didn't. I mean, they were rock solid back there. I think one of the best chances, not the best chance, but in the first half, anyways, the best chance was a crazy shot by Bruno Fernandes that kind of materialized out of nothing and hit the crossbar. But I mean, that's a very, very low percentage shot. I mean, it was either a volley or a half volley that he spun and hit really without looking, and it gets over the keeper and dips down, but it hits the bar. And I mean, if he makes that, it's one of the goals of the tournament. But the XG on that's probably like 0.02, or I mean, just super low. And so, other than that, I mean, Portugal had, I mean, Ronaldo gets up, can't get ahead on it, but it falls to Pep, and he misses a wide open back of the net and puts it just wide. And I think right then everybody knew, oh, it's over. Like that was the one Portugal chance that they were going to get there in the dying moments, and they didn't capitalize on it. So all the credit to Morocco. The way they're playing right now defensively is just incredibly impressive. I mean, to beat what many people thought was going to be a dark horse for this in Canada, and then draw with Croatia, who is also in the semifinal, and then beat Belgium the way they did, and then take Spain to penalties, and then now beat Portugal. I mean, you just can't take anything away from them. They've just played perfectly at the back.
Yeah, they absolutely have. Yeah, they were a 2-1 underdog in this match, and the odds are about the same according to 538 going into their matchup with France. And I mean, could they end up being the Cinderella of this tournament? I mean, I want to say they already are.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, Cinderella doesn't have to win the tournament to be the Cinderella of the tournament. I mean, they're the first African nation to be in a semifinal of the World Cup, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. And they've come through, Belgium, Croatia, Spain, and Portugal. Those, if I say a team comes in and beats or draws against those four teams, that's a pretty impressive resume for a tournament in the World Cup. So yeah, I'm just thrilled with how they're playing. It's huge for the AFCON to have a team like Morocco in there, and then just these Morocco players and these fans that you see. I mean, just what it means to them and how far they've come. I mean, there's a team that fired their manager this year, like in the calendar year of 2022, and here they are in the semifinal. It's a team that we beat 3-0 this calendar year. The U.S. beat 3-0 in this calendar year, and so it's crazy. It's just they're hot right now, and we'll see if it can continue in a couple of days.
And of all the groups heading into this tournament, you look at the group stages. Group F is the only one that's still got two teams left.
Oh yeah,
like all these powerhouse groups. Look at Group B. The U.S., England, Iran, Wales. Argentina and Poland and Mexico. Like you've got these powers. It's Croatia and Morocco from Group F that nobody expected to come out of that group except for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been fun to watch. It's fun to see, those two teams continue to go. And yeah, I mean, again, we'll talk about it here in just a little bit, but I can't wait to hear what your prediction is on Morocco, France, to see if, who you've got going to the final. So, second match of the day, the Harry Kane disaster. That's what we're
why?
Because I can. England and France squared off in the late game today. This one obviously ended up in the favor of France by a final of 2-1. Olivier Giroud and Tukumani both scored for France. Harry Kane gets a penalty in the 54th and then misses a second one later on, just absolutely skies the ball into the upper deck and potentially out of the stadium. It was that far off. But I mean, there's a lot in this match here, and some of the bigger talking points that I've seen across social media has been those penalty calls. And I want to talk about these first off before we get to anything else, because I'm in some referee discussion groups over on Facebook, and I see the people complaining about across social media about some of these penalty calls. As someone who refs, I watched these live. I saw the initial tackle there, about the 50th, 51st, the initial tackle there. Tackle inside the box, penalty. Clear cut. No foul or no yellow card for me. I'm perfectly good with that one. I thought it was the right call by the referee. Second penalty. This is the one that I saw a lot of people up in arms about as well. Number one, arguing, is it a foul? Number two, is it a red card? Number three, and people are arguing about these. So, referee standpoint, you look at it, people arguing red card for Dogso. Number one, Mason Mount never had possession of the ball. He was not actively playing the ball. He was not on it. There is no red card for Dogso in that scenario. Is there a yellow card? Yes, because there is a hard foul in the box. Now, you don't necessarily have to give a yellow in the box, but it was a foul in the box. And it was fairly, I would say there was more than enough contact from behind, not shoulder to shoulder, to warrant a yellow card. Penalty call, correct. I honestly I don't know how the referee didn't see that live. I'm kind of disappointed that it had to go to VAR, but from my perspective, my understanding of the rules, these calls are both correct, both appropriate. Watching this, Jacob, did you take any different point of view on these, or did you feel like they were fair?
No, I think they were fair. You could argue a red card. I know. Maybe I don't know. It looked ugly. Like it was clear that he was not making a play on the ball. It was clear that it was in the box. You never know. It's hard to really tell, if Mount can get to that. I think if you in your head, if the referee looks at that and says, I think Mount is going to get there without the contact, then I think it is a red card. I think it is denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity. But that's just so hard to judge that I'm not going to argue either side of it. If he would have called it a red, I would have been like, okay. If he didn't call it a red, since he didn't, I'm like, okay, that's whatever. It's clearly a penalty. He just bowls right. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, to be completely honest with you.
It was.
It looks like a football tackle, like an American football tackle. And so no, I know people have had issues with the refs in this tournament, but it just kind of makes my point for me that one, nobody's going to be perfectly happy. You're always going to have an issue with a ref. And I still think there should be more than one ref in the middle of the freaking pitch. I think 3 refs, 4 with the fourth official that just does the scorecard thing, or the substitution board and the minutes board and stuff. To just have 3 that are out there making calls. How many times have we seen, you got the assistant, the AR on the left, and then nobody on the right side because the AR can't cross half court because he'll get shocked out of like a shock collar on it. I don't know what the hell is going on there. They can't run in a straight line back and forth all match. I don't understand that at all.
Well, so there's 2 things. The big thing behind that is traditionally the way that referees are trained is that your center runs on a diagonal. And then whichever side is not on, that's where your AR is going to be.
Right.
Now, more recently, so that was even in the training that I went through, is that you run on diagonal and you have your ARs on the side that you're not going to be, to help watch those areas, call for fouls, offside, that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's the reason behind it. More recently, though, and this was a big discussion in one of the referee groups that I'm in, is that people were commenting on the positioning of the center referee in this match, saying that he was staying mostly center during the match. And some people were complaining he was putting himself in the middle of play, and that's something I can get to here in a little bit. And so they've kind of moved away from the diagonal run a little bit, doing more and becoming in the training more so encouraging the center ref to be about 15 to 20 yards away from where the play is at. Not necessarily on that diagonal, but 15 to 20 yards in view of what's going on.
But so, like what I was getting at was, if the play is all the way on one side and the AR is say on the near side and the action's on the far side, and there's a close, like the Japan call, he's got to look through bodies down a line and see past the goalposts to see if that ball's out or not.
Yeah.
Because he's on the opposite side of the goal than the play happened. Why even put yourself? Why do we have to be in that situation? Why can't there be somebody on the other side too? Especially in a World Cup match. That's one of the most important matches going on in the world. Why can't there be somebody on, either 4 ARs or the 2 ARs can run up and down the whole way, or there's 2 in the middle? I don't know what the exact answer is, but I mean, we see it all the time when that opposite corner where the AR is not there, they get into a little pushing, shoving match. It's almost impossible to tell who the ball goes off of.
Yeah.
When you're trying to look through bodies like that, even if the center, even on a quick play, say it's a quick cross and his first touch takes him towards the touchline. And so if the diagonal, I get the diagonal thing where, your AR is on this side and the center referee should be shaded more to the opposite side. But even then, he's looking this way, and then all of a sudden the play's over here in this far corner. I just don't understand it. And so a lot of the refereeing questions that come up, I just go, he probably didn't make the 100% right calls today because he's one guy trying to ref a sport that happens on a pitch twice as big as a football field and happens just as fast. And so it's just,
I get you. And I understand, having played and reffing, like I get it. Like would more ARs help? Absolutely. I think it would make a difference. Now, whether or not that's something that FIFA is going to implement, I don't know. I certainly don't see it happening at the lower levels of soccer, but I don't see why you couldn't do it because Major League Baseball throws out extra umpires during the World Series and the playoffs. So I don't know why.
NBA is the same way. There's usually just 3, but for the finals and the playoffs, there's 4. So
I don't know why they couldn't do it, but the reason you don't have your ARs running back and forth, if you watch the change in play, like how quickly the ball can go back and forth.
Right.
That AR has got to be able to keep up with that that second to last defender at all points. So if you've got an AR running basically all the way down, you would have to have someone else to stick with that second to last defender.
Well, we don't even need an AR to tell us if it's offside or not. We've got the little 3D models now.
Yeah, that's true. But that's why you don't have it, because of the change of play. You got to have someone with that second to last defender. So.
But I've seen times, like specifically at like the end of matches, when there's a corner, everybody comes up. Everybody comes up. Why can't he cross half court? Like, why can't he cross midpoint on the pitch? Even if he's not all the way in the corner, just be where the action is. Because it seems stupid to me that the action is right there in front of goal, and you have 3 referees, but one of them can't get close enough to see anything.
Yeah.
Even though, because I get the point about the offside call and everything like that, but if nobody's back there, then why can't you just move up till you're with the second to last defender?
Well, I mean, even then, if let's say towards the end here, if England had thrown all 11 guys forward, you've even got Pickford in the box.
Yeah.
Like your defenders are up, everything. If you pull that AR all the way up, if France goes on a break the other way, do you expect that AR to keep up with Mbappe?
Well, no, but nobody can keep up with Mbappe. So
right, exactly. But that's the point. They've got to be able to maintain that line and stick with the attacking players or that last defender, or whatever. But if they're all the way up, I wouldn't expect them to reasonably cover 100 yards while keeping up with the pace of play if they're all the way down here, So
But
that's why you have them.
I know that they call some fouls, right? But
Yeah, they can.
But your main objective there is offside. If the play's all over here, like the Sunny goal for South Korea,
Mhm.
The play was all the way up there. There was no offside chance there. I mean, Sonny took it himself, or the one pass that he did make would have been in his own half. So there's no offside in your own half, anyways. So I get it. It's just there's got to be a better system than what we use now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're gonna have purists that listen to this and they're like, "Oh no, we have to keep it the way it's been because that's how it's always been and that's how it always will be." And sure, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the reasoning behind it. That's just as far my understanding. That's the way it's been. That's the way it's going to be. Maybe they make a change. I mean, but I honestly don't think FIFA will. But
no. But I mean, look at all the complaints that we get from every league. I mean, this is the World Cup. These should be, the top of the top referees in the world, and we're still getting a bunch of complaints. I posted this on it was either Twitter or Facebook. I commented on something here a couple weeks ago about referees and told my piece about how maybe it's just maybe the sport is just too fast and there's too much going on for 3 people, 2.5 people to keep up with in most scenarios. And I was surprised that I had some people that I know are longtime soccer fans kind of agree with me. But it is what it is. And like the calls with today in the France-England match, I mean, I think the better team ended up winning anyways. I mean, they definitely created a little bit more and looked the better side for most of the match. That's not to say that they had the ball the whole time because England did outpossess them. But France just looked more dangerous when they did have the ball and they looked pretty much in control on the defensive end. So aside from the 2 penalties, and arguably there could have been a third before even the first one. In the first half, there was a France player that basically stuck his leg through the spokes of Harry Kane, but it was right on the edge, and so I never saw a clear shot of it if it was actually in the box or not. But they had to look at it and determined it was just. I mean, if it's just a foul outside the box, they're not going to bring it back and have a free kick. So that's probably what they determined. But they determined it was outside, so it doesn't matter. We move on.
If contact is initiated outside the box, it won't be a penalty.
Right. Well, so you can't. They won't even call it the VAR won't even call it a foul.
Right.
Even if it was a foul, they won't bring play back just for a
not
foul.
for that.
It's got to be for a penalty.
Yeah, they won't do that, or potentially dangerous play. But
so
it's
it is what it is.
Yeah,
it was a good match. It was the best. I think the best played quarterfinal.
Yeah,
it obviously wasn't the most. It was exciting, but it wasn't like Netherlands coming back or Croatia and Morocco winning or anything like that. But it was still a fun quarterfinal. I think this was the best quarterfinal set of games, all 4 of them combined, in a while, I think. And so it's been an exciting tournament up to this point, and I think the Final Four is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it certainly is. I just real quick before we move on, I do want to go back to your comment about play being too fast for all 3 referees. I told you guys I was refereeing last night, and the match that I did, there was one player on one of the teams who, for whatever reason, insists on running at me. Like this tall guy, lanky, a lot of pace. He insists on running at me. I'm like, why? Like, why are you running directly at me? Like, and I'm trying to get out of the way of him, but he kept running at me. Like, because what we're supposed to try to, predict or think about where they're potentially going. So like, I'm facing the south end. I'm off to the right of the center circle, and he just he comes up, and I'm watching the play, and as it's developing, I've got to determine, okay, is he going to pass or go to my left? Is he going to pass go to my right? But he just runs straight at me. I'm trying to move out of the way, but he just keeps running right at me. I'm like, okay, well, I can't turn and run because the play is behind me at that point. So yeah, and then one guy complained because he, again, I was out to the right of the center circle. The guy kicked the ball and hit me. He's like, dude, you can't be in the middle. I'm like, I'm not in the middle. Like, you've got the entire right side of the pitch, and yet you kick it to the left to where I'm standing. And I'm 15 yards off. I don't have time to react, to get out of the way. But it's like, the pace of play is something that has to be considered. So I don't know. We'll see if any changes are made again. But like you said, looking ahead to the Final Four, is set. Like, there's some really good matchups here. Looking at Argentina, Croatia, that's the first of the two semifinal matches. That's on the 13th, which is Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
There's really not a lot of rest time here for either of these matches here. But yeah, Argentina, Croatia. Argentina seems to finally be we talked about it, they're finally putting it together. And I know that their match with the Netherlands was highly contentious, and FIFA has opened a case into Argentina's behavior and how that match was handled. And
good.
Yeah. That's not going to affect the fact that Argentina has already gone forward.
Right.
Like that. But looking at the behaviors on the pitch and how the players handle that, and the taunting and just all the nonsense that happened in that match, close to a world record, 15 yellow cards shown in that match. Like, you look at Argentina, look at Croatia. This could potentially be a very physical match between these two sides. And do I think Messi and company have enough? I don't know. They're favored in this match almost 2-1 according to 538, and Messi's got a shot to potentially take the lead for the Golden Boot race. So, looking at this, who do you have and why?
Oh man, I didn't think you were going to ask for a prediction. I thought we were going to like workshop some stuff there.
Well, we can't. No, we absolutely can.
No. That match. I'll talk about the Argentina match a little bit. The Netherlands match. I talked about it, or we talked about it on Friday night a little bit. Or was that one of the? No, that was me last night.
Yeah, it was you. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a late red card there. I didn't really notice it when I was watching it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I was doing the podcast that I was like, "There's a red card? What?" But yeah, and the Argentinian players. You go back to the 70-some minute when there's a foul, and then the Argentinian player just flat out puts his laces through it right into the Netherlands bench. And I think that was when things really got out of control. You see Virgil van Dijk come running up there, and then the way they acted, the way both teams acted during penalties, I was kind of like, what are you guys doing? Like, just shoot the penalties and then move on. Because the Netherlands were getting in the face, and then, of course, in a testy match like that, when you win, like Argentina did, they're gonna make some gestures after they win, and it just, it happens. It definitely. I'm not rooting for Argentina. I can tell you that. Like, my heart wants Croatia to win this next match, and I think they've got a good chance. They've proven that they know how to play this knockout soccer, winning in penalties, 4 times the last two World Cups, and Luka Modric has just kind of been that steadying factor there in the midfield for them, and I think they've got a real shot. I think this one goes to extra time and possibly to pins as well. The whole thing for Croatia is they don't have a Messi, but they didn't have a Neymar either, and you saw Neymar's one magical moment, which you expect Messi to have at least one in this match. And Croatia was able to find a way to negate that and get back on the board and take it to pins. And if it goes to pins, my money's on Croatia. Argentina didn't look fantastic in pins. They won, but they didn't look great. And Croatia's come through, looked good 2 times in a row. And their Croatia goalkeeper Livakovic has been fantastic. And so I think it could come down to that, but I hope Croatia comes out, and I'm going to say Croatia comes out.
Yeah, looking at this, I have to agree. I think Croatia has the ability to to upset Argentina here. My concern for Argentina is that they haven't necessarily been very good defensively this tournament,
Right.
and you saw them surrender. They had a 2-0 lead going towards the final stages of this match here today, or yesterday, I should say. Gave up 2 late goals. Is this something that Croatia can exploit, or is this something that Argentina is gonna? Do you think they can like fix whatever the issue is, or at least make some adjustments to slow down Croatia or limit the attack?
I mean, Croatia's attack isn't world beaters, so it's not, it's not France, it's not Brazil coming in here offensively, but what Croatia can do is they can kind of pick their spots. They're going to play solid defense. They're going to control the midfield. They're probably going to try to keep Messi off the ball as much as they can, especially in the midfield, and then they can pounce. And Argentina defensively is not a solid enough team to, if the offense doesn't carry them, then they're going to be in trouble. I mean, they blew a 2-goal lead against Netherlands. They almost blew a 2-goal lead against Australia. Keep in mind, I mean, this is a team that lost to Saudi Arabia in their first match of this World Cup. So we know they're not perfect, and we know they're gettable. And they've been playing better since that Saudi Arabia match, obviously, but they still haven't looked like, I mean, Brazil had looked better than them throughout the whole tournament. And I did say Brazil hadn't faced really stiff competition, but neither has Argentina. I mean, Poland is not the Poland of old. Mexico is not the Mexico of old. And then Saudi Arabia's beat them. So I think defensively, specifically, Croatia's going to find some space and get a couple solid chances. It's going to be if they can put them away. And so far, we've seen them put away the ones that they needed to put away. And I don't see why this match would be any different. I mean, it's a team that's been here before. They know what to do. They know how to get past them or get past teams in this knockout round. And I think they can do what needs to be done and get through with a goal or without. I mean, I could see them going 0-0 and going to penalties and either way.
Croatia was held goalless twice during the group stage. The third match they did score 4. They did score 3 against Japan in the opening round. Do you think that if Croatia is held to 1 or fewer goals, that Argentina finds a way to win, or do you think that Croatia is going to have to put up at least that second goal?
No, I would say at least 1. If Croatia doesn't find the back of the net in regulation or extra time once, then I think they're in trouble. But no, I definitely think they can limit Argentina to 1, or maybe even 0, and all it would take would be 1 to get past them. But the only thing that I've seen from Argentina offensively is a Messi magic moment. If they don't get that moment from Messi, which obviously is fairly reliable because it's freaking Lionel Messi, but if he can't produce that one magical moment, whether it's a goal or whether it's like that pass that we saw against Netherlands, which came out of nowhere, to be completely honest with you, unless they do that, unless he can do that, their offense is kind of a stick in the mud. That's not to say that they can't generate something without him. It's just my confidence of them generating something without him isn't nearly as high as my confidence in Croatia stopping that from happening. So I think it's going to take a Messi moment. And if they get that, then, if they get 1, they'll probably be in decent shape, but I can see Croatia getting a goal here. I'd be surprised if they get 2, but I do think if they get 2, they're in pretty good shape.
All right. So I had Argentina coming losing here in this round originally, going to the third place match. I definitely had them facing Brazil.
Yeah.
So obviously a different opponent here. Looking at this, so are we both picking Croatia to go through to the final?
I guess, because I am.
Okay.
I'm just Messi's never won this thing. I mean, in the ones that I can remember, he's never even really been like in the running for one. When it comes down to the end, like the semifinals, I'm sure if I looked, he's made a deep run or 2 here before. But I trust this Croatia team. I trust their midfield. Luka Modric, doing his thing, and they're just like I said last night. They're just like cockroaches, man. They're just you can't kill them. They just keep finding a way to survive, and I think that happens again. I think they get to the final. I think, spoiler alert, I think we have a rematch of the last World Cup's final.
So looking back at the Argentinian national team performance in the World Cup, in 2018 they went out in the round of 16. 2014 they went out, they were the runners up. 2010, 2006 they were quarterfinals. 2002 group stage. I want to say Messi was not in the squad in 2002, or at least not before 2002 at the very least.
No, because this is his 5th World Cup, so that's 20 years right there. That's 5. So yeah, I mean, he had a runner-up in there, I heard you say, but the rest haven't been there, and I just trust this iteration of the Croatia team more than I do this Argentinian team, and yeah, I think they can do it. Would I be shocked? Would I be shocked if Argentina makes it? Obviously not. I mean, it's Lionel Messi, and it's an aging Luka Modric and Croatia team, but I think Croatia does it. I think they do.
All right, moving on over to the other semifinal match. This one, it'll be on Wednesday, the 14th. France and Morocco. Is Morocco the team of destiny? Do they have enough to take down France, or what can they do well against France to increase their chances?
They got to score first. I'm going to say France wins, but if Morocco scores first, throw it out the window. If Morocco gets on the board first, or nobody gets on the board and it goes to pins, then I'm taking Morocco. I just their defense and their defensive structure and tactics have just been so sound this whole tournament. And France has the horses that can mess that up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if Morocco scores, I just see them sitting back and countering over and over again after that. And when they're in that game plan, they've just been impossible to get by. I mean, one goal this tournament they've given up, and it was an own goal. So it could be tough, but at the same time, like I said, if France scores first, look out, because I think it could get ugly.
Yeah, France did go behind in both the Tunisia and the Australia match. Against Australia, though, France came back to beat them 4-1. So
this Morocco defense isn't Australia, though.
No, they're not, and they're certainly not Tunisia either. And France really struggled in that match they struggled to convert their chances, I should say.
That was also a heavily rotated side.
Yes, it was. So yeah, not a lot to really take away from that one, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that Morocco has enough here to take down France. I mean, I agree. I think they're going to sit back. They're going to try to hit off the counter, even if they, if they don't go up early. I think they're going to just try to absorb as much as they can, and either pick off a goal towards the end, like one of the halves or something, or try to force it into extra time.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's 0-0, that's what they're going to do. I just don't know what they're going to, because we haven't seen them down in this tournament. Mm-hmm. They've yet to be losing at any point in this tournament, group stage or knockout stage alike. We've just yet to see them be down a goal, and so I'm very curious to see what'll happen if they do go down a goal. And they all of a sudden have to be pushing forward to try to get a goal to tie it up and force extra time or something. And so their counter, like Morocco's been scoring on the counter or quasi semi counters all tournament, but you get a team pushing forward, and then all of a sudden you get Kylian Mbappe out there, and Dembele on the other side. If they're countering you, it's a completely different animal than trying to keep them out of the net when you're packed in back there in front of the goal. I mean, you get Mbappe one-on-one with somebody, that's a different animal than Mbappe trying to go 1-on-5. And so to me, it comes down to who scores first and if there's a goal in regulation and extra time.
You talked about France having the horses to break down the defense of Morocco. Who do you think opens up the spaces for those opportunities? Does France have to play the ball on the cross into Giroud? Do they play off the wing with Mbappe trying to force the ball out wide? Like what is it that France has to do to break down that interior?
It's not out wide. I mean, we saw Spain just kind of attack those wide areas, trying to do something there with crosses, and it just never works. I mean, Giroud is a different animal in the air than anybody that Spain had at that point, but it's still just I think you're going to have to create in the channels and in the middle of the pitch, at least maybe not right down the center, but definitely not in the wide areas. Find those channels kind of in the in between, and I mean, it's going to be tough. It's probably going to have to be, if I'm making a prediction, it's probably going to be like a counter to a counter to a counter. Mm-hmm. It's not building out trying to beat them when they're already set in their low block. You're going to have to kind of get them in a transition period where, maybe you turn it over and Morocco, tries to break, but they turn it over quickly and you can catch them in that transition period before they actually get set. It's kind of like a zone defense in basketball. You don't want to face the zone once it's set. You want to get it before everybody's in place and kind of ready to do their roles. You got to try to beat them down the pitch and break it that way. Otherwise, this Morocco team just has been too tough to break down if they can get their back line set how they want it. And so I think counter attacks and then in those kind of channels, around the 18-yard, both sides of the 18-yard box are how it's going to be done, how it's going to have to be done. And I think they can do it, especially on the counter to the counter, but the breaking them down when they're already set in their block is going to be tough, even for this France team.
Yeah, France is to me, they are by far the most talented squad left in the tournament.
Oh yeah,
by far. They've got they've got a lot of guys who can get into dangerous areas, a lot of guys that can score. We talked about Mbappe, we talked about Giroud, we talked about, just all the different looks that they can bring. To me, they're going to have opportunities. Mm-hmm. They're gonna force the ball and they're gonna have opportunities to score. And like you said, this could get ugly, especially if France does go up early. For me, France has got to clean up the mistakes, the defensive lapses like they had today against England. Because if they do, if they fall into that same issue against Morocco, I mean, I said it in our group text today, that France is trying to give the game away, and if France makes those mistakes against Morocco, they could easily do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I think England came into this match and they did a lot of good things. They kind of put the clamps on Mbappe as much as you can put the clamps on Mbappe, and they really kind of frustrated France. And I think that's why you see a foul like that second penalty where he just comes in and bowls him over. I mean, I know at that point France is winning 2-1 still, but they just hadn't been able to get into a groove. And Morocco can do that. Morocco can get you out of your groove and really frustrate and annoy you. And so I could see, those frustration mistakes kind of creep back up into this. We hadn't seen it from France before, but they hadn't really been tested. Right. I mean, you talked about them being down to Australia, but I mean, they went down early, and then, once they found their groove there, it was over. I mean, they haven't come up against teams that are as defensively sound as this England team was today, and as I think Morocco is coming up on Wednesday. So I could definitely see that, but I mean, I'm going to pick France, but if Morocco makes it, that wouldn't hurt my feelings any.
Yeah, it'd definitely be interesting if Morocco did manage to upset France here. I think that could potentially be like the biggest upset ever. But yeah, like you, I'm going France. I don't think it'll be close. Like I said, I think France is going to have opportunities. They just have to put them away, and they have to clean up at the defensive end. I think they're going to walk through to the final and have the opportunity to become the first 3-time champion. So,
for the record, I do think it's going to be close.
Okay.
I don't think France is going to get the early goal. I think they're going to have to work for it. It's going to be a struggle. I just think France kind of gets one, maybe like the 70th or so minute, somewhere in there. And then, with Morocco pushing forward the rest of the match, trying to get that equalizer, I think France can add one on the counter. So it might be a 2-3 nothing scoreline, but I think those goals come late. And other than the first one, the any goal after the first one is a product of Morocco not being able to be set in their defensive block and be pushing forward. And you give France a chance to counter on that, and it's pretty ugly, or it can be pretty ugly.
Yep, definitely could see that happening. So looking over at the Golden Boot race, it is basically down to 3 guys. Mbappe with 5, Messi with 4, Giroud with 4. Which of these guys stands out to you as the favorite at this point?
I mean, it's still Mbappe, right? He's got the 1-goal lead. Probably has. I mean, with our predictions, him and Giroud are going to have the extra game over Messi to try to break it if what we said goes and Argentina goes out and France goes on. The only thing is I know Mbappe gets a bad rap, at PSG. He's asked out a few times since they brought in Neymar and Messi and stuff, but I think his love for, I mean, we saw it after the Giroud goal, goal breaking or record breaking goal. Yeah. The way they embraced, I mean, I think he loves this France team, and if he has a chance to take the shot or set up Giroud, I think he could set up Giroud just as easy as he could take the shot. And so maybe you see Giroud catch him and pass him, depending on the situations that we see coming forward. But as far as the favorite at this point, it's still Mbappe, mainly because he has the 1-goal lead.
Yeah, I have to lean towards Mbappe as well. I mean, obviously, again, like you said, going off of our predictions, it's more than likely going to be one of those 2 guys. But I think Mbappe is a guy that he can score from so many different places on the pitch. Yeah. You put the ball at his feet, in space. I mean, even he can make stuff happen on his own too. We've seen it time and time again. So, yeah, I think Mbappe is the one that ends up getting it. So, yeah, it's going to be, we've got 4 more days of World Cup football, and then we'll be done.
Crazy.
Kind of bittersweet.
I mean, it's 8 days in total, but
yeah,
but 4 more days of actually watching it on the pitch, and only 3 more matches left. Well, 4 with the third place match, but it's fun, man. It's going to be sad when it's over, but then we can turn our attention back to USL and United, and hopefully get some. Well, the holidays, I guess, would be first, and then we'll turn our attention to United and the build up to that season, which is only 4 months away, basically. So yeah, it's like you said, bittersweet, but I'll be happy when it's out of Qatar. I just want to be out of there and not have to deal with that drama anymore.
Right. So yeah, Tuesday noon Mountain Time, Wednesday noon Mountain Time, semifinal matches, and then the finals, of course. The third place and the final match on the 17th and 18th at 8 a.m. our time. So not much left. We're almost there.
Nope, almost there. So we'll be back Tuesday with a breakdown of Argentina, Croatia, and then we'll be back Wednesday with the other semifinal breakdown. And so we just have 4, maybe 4, depending on the third place match and how it goes. 3 or 4 episodes of the World Cup coverage left, and then maybe we can do if we can ever find Earl again, we can get him on and do like a World Cup recap after the final recap show, and so maybe you'll get a bonus one out of us there, and then it's back to USL.
Yep, Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that too. We finally get, and we'll talk about it, next week. So planning, maybe already had another signing announced by New Mexico United.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get another signing or two here between now and the holidays. So yeah, looking forward to it. So, all right, Jacob, close us out, man.
Yeah. So you heard it here first. It's going to be France and Croatia in the final for both of us. That is, and we'll be here next Tuesday to talk about Croatia advancing and Lionel Messi's legacy. Oh, I do have one question for you, Seth.
Sure.
Was Ronaldo laughing or crying?
I think he was crying.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's the most smiley cry face I've ever seen in my life. Then, if that's the case, but
yeah,
I'm sure he was emotional. I'm sure that's what it was. Maybe it was like laughing, and then maybe the guy said something, and he kind of chuckled at the end. I don't know, but it dang sure looked like I was watching it live. It dang sure looked like he laughed at the end. So,
yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to get your take on that, and so yeah, no Ronaldo. We got Messi in it still. We got Mbappe in it still. We could see a PSG showdown if Argentina gets through Croatia, but we'll be here to talk about that next on Tuesday and Wednesday. We got a couple days off here, rest up and get ready for that, and until Tuesday night, guys, we'll see you then, and until then, somos unidos.